Hello folks, and welcome to part 3 of the Basics of VOR Navigation video. We are currently situated at Fresno Yosemite International Airport, and we are going to be doing our full flight today to Los Angeles in the FlyJSim 737-200 using VOR Navigation. Now what we will be doing today is we will start up the aircraft, we will configure our radios, and finally, we will take off and head to Los Angeles. The approximate flight time for this for our route is approximately 1 hour, depending, of course, on wind direction and our speed. We're going to be flying and maintaining a flight level of 12,000 feet for this flight. And we were going to basically start our descent right after we intercept the Ventura radio. So let's go ahead and get things started here. I will power up the aircraft and then we can configure our radios. Batteries on, emergency lights armed, left after fuel pump on, and I think now we can start the APU. Okay. Let's turn our anti-collision lights on. And we have to wait for the APU to start. I believe we can start the APU now. Very well. Okay, let's start from the top. Galley on. Running gears fine. Non-smoking signs. Seatbelt signs. Let's turn the window heat on. Can leave that for now. Fan is on, packs off, isolation valve open, and APU bleed is on. Okay. Alright, we're good to configure our radios now. So the very first station is the Clovis VOR, and the Clovis VOR radio frequency is 112.9. Yeah, and as you can see, the display has now changed to 8 nautical miles as the distance. And if we adjust our course, now it's pointing, see the arrow now, pointing both in the same direction. And now we center the needle, and this is the heading that we need to fly, basically to go to the Clovis VOR. So that is set. Okay, and the next station in our route is let me verify the frequency. It is 109.2. So we will put that in the standby frequency on nav 1, 109.2, and then we will hit the Gorman VOR, which is 116.10. So that's 116.10. And now you'll see in DME2 125 miles. It means that we are 125 miles away from the Gorman VOR, which is set here. And the last radio frequency, which is already set, is 108.2, which is the Ventura VOR. So our radios are all set up now, so we can go ahead and basically start the aircraft and taxi to runway 29er right for departure. Okay, so let's better check our fuel. So we've got enough fuel in both tanks. We've got about 53%. So everything looks good. Oops. Okay, so fuel pumps are on. Fuel damper is on. Nothing here. Everything looks good. Let's make this a bit brighter. This is all okay. Electrical equipment is on. And then we are good to start our engines now. So let's go ahead and start engine number 2 first. And now we monitor okay, that's good enough. Starting engine 2. Start it. So good start on engine 2. Let's start engine number 1. Okay, that's good. Starting engine number 1. We have a good start on both engines, so we can now start the generators. APU can go off. Engine bleeds on. APU bleed off. Left pack on. Isolation valve closed. Right pack on. And that's pretty much it. Okay, let's set up our altitude to 12,000 feet. Okay, that's 12,000 feet, and our speed 250 knots, as we are going to be until we reach flight level 120. We pass 10,000 feet. We can then adjust our speed. So everything looks good. Taxi lights on, and we do. Let's check the. So we're gonna fly flaps 2 today. And the stabilizer is 5.2 degrees. That's good enough. Now we can go ahead and taxi to the runway. Okay, let's release the parking brakes. Before we do that, we need to check our controls. Full up, full down, full left, full right, pedal full left, pedal full right, all checks okay. Alright, so let's release the parking brake, and here we go. Okay, so we are at runway 29er right. Let's go ahead and landing lights on. Runway turn off lights on. Taxi can go off. Strobes can go on. And we are pretty much good to go. Okay, our flaps are okay. Right, so let's go ahead and take off. power. Positive rate, gear up. Flaps 1. We're at 1,000 feet now. We can enable the IAS autopilot, and we will also gauge the VOR lock. Now we will basically turn off the game. Basically, once you engage the VOR lock, the aircraft will adjust its heading to basically fly to the VOR you have configured on your radio. Continue to climb, flaps up. Now at 2 nautical miles, I will basically switch the frequency. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch the frequency now. As you can see, the plane now started. We need to adjust our course. There you go. We centered the needles, both arrows pointing in the same direction, and now the plane will basically fly to the configured course. Now, there will be some slight changes as you travel, but since we have the autopilot on nav lock, it will basically adjust the heading to fly the correct course. So if the needle isn't centered, that's okay. It will eventually center once the aircraft makes the autopilot makes the necessary adjustments to the heading. Looks like our speed is yeah. Now you have to take into account that the 737 200 does not have an auto throttle, so you will have to be very careful with your speed. So we're about 1,000 feet to our cruising altitude of 12,000 feet. So I'm going to ease off on the power in a short while. Okay, so let's reduce power. So as you can see now that we're cruising at an altitude of 12,000 feet, our speed is almost stabilized, and as you can see, the needle will very slowly get centered. You see how the aircraft is making now slight changes See that? It's making small corrections to the heading to fly the proper course to the next VOR station. There we go. See how the needle is starting to center now? And of course, the needle may change, may move it to either the right or left as you progress during your flight. If you're doing heading select, if you're in heading select mode, you need to be careful, as the plane may drift off course due to wind. So you need to be careful if you're using heading select and flying manually, basically using heading only. If you are on the nav lock, basically what's going to happen is that the aircraft, the autopilot, will adjust the heading of the aircraft to remain on course. Again, it's your preference. It's whatever you like doing. I normally, when I'm not doing a video, I kind of like to kind of hand fly this aircraft because it's really nice to hand fly. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I just wanted to show you how you can actually do this in, for example, the Cessna, the airfoils lab Cessna that we were doing in part 2. You just have to make sure that the nav button is pressed, not GPS. So you need to be in nav mode, and you just engage the autopilot and click on nav, and the aircraft will follow the radios, just like we are here in the FlyJSim. So the concept is really the same. You might need to familiarize yourself with different aircrafts to be able to fly VOR, but the concept is exactly the same in all of them. Okay, so what we will do is I will check back with you right before we are ready to hit the next VOR radio station. Until then, you guys take care. Okay folks, so we are approximately 5 nautical miles from the Jolly VOR, and in a couple of miles we are going to switch to the Gorman VOR, and speed is okay, and we're still at 12,000 feet. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch the radio now to the Gorman VOR, and as you can see, the aircraft now will begin to change its heading to fly that course. Now the aircraft, of course, will make the necessary adjustments to fly to the correct, to put the plane on the correct course. And what we're going to do now is we're going to switch the nav2 standby frequency to the Ventura radio so that we know how far are we from the following VOR station. As you can see now, you have 65 nautical miles here, which is nav1. This is how far are we from the Gorman VOR, and this is 105 nautical miles is how far are we from the Ventura VOR radio. So I'll adjust the, this needle will start to center as we get near to the location, and the aircraft, of course, will make the necessary adjustments as we are in nav lock mode. But I will go ahead and adjust the. There we go. So now we're flying the correct heading, and we put the plane on course to the Gorman VOR. Okay folks, so we are approximately 8 nautical miles away from the Gorman VOR, and that's where we're going to actually switch to the Ventura radio. We're going to begin reducing our speed now, as we need to start our descent into Los Angeles shortly. Everything looks good at the moment, so we are just waiting for a couple more nautical miles, and then we will basically switch to the Ventura radio. I'm going to reduce speed to about 220 knots, and we'll keep it there until we begin our descent into Los Angeles. There's some really high mountains in this area. Okay, I believe that's close enough. We can now begin. We can switch the radio to the Ventura radio. So there we go. That's the Ventura radio, and as you can see, the aircraft will immediately adjust its heading, basically to fly that course. As you can see, the distance now is 42 nautical miles to the Ventura radio, and I'm just going to go ahead and make the change here. Okay, so the needle is now centered, and we can fly. By the way, you don't need to do this step, as the aircraft will basically adjust the heading until it's on the correct course to that VOR station. I just do this so that I'm on that path earlier, but it doesn't really affect, your flight route. You will fly the correct route as long as you are on navlock. And the plane will do the necessary adjustments. Okay, so the very last radio station that we need to basically go to after we clear the Ventura radio would be the LAX VOR. So let's check the frequency, and the frequency is 113.6. Okay, so I'm going to put it in the standby frequency, 113.6. Okay, and I'm also going to put it here in nav 2, so that we know what is our distance. 113.6. And now we know that we are 51 nautical miles from LA. Okay, so we're getting pretty close there. I think I forgot the speed, so let me increase the speed a bit too. That's too low. And again, with the FlyJSim, with the 737-200, the 727, also by FlyJSim, there are no auto throttle there, so you need to be very careful about your speed. So I kind of, lost track there of the speed. So let's go ahead and adjust that again. Okay folks, so as we get closer to Los Angeles, I just wanted to show you a few things. Basically we are 22 nautical miles away from the Ventura radio, and I just wanted to show you something. If you go to location, if you go to the local map, this is the aircraft, and this is the Ventura radio. And as you can see, we are on a direct path to the Ventura radio. And this tells you that basically all your flight planning and all your radio configurations are correct, as you are now. This is the Gorman VOR, where we actually made the turn. And if you recall, we've made the turn approximately 3 nautical miles. And this is why the path does not cross the center of the radio station. So, and as you go, if you check back, this is the Tully VOR. And again, we've done this at approximately 4 nautical miles from reaching the center of the station. And this is why there is a slight deviation. Had we waited until we were at the 0 mark, 0 nautical miles, that would have put us at the center of the VOR station. So as you can see, what we've done can also be verified through X-Plane's local map, and now we are flying towards the Ventura radio. LAX is somewhere right here. This is Santa Monica, and LAX is somewhere in this vicinity right here. Okay, good stuff. So everything looks good, and we will very shortly begin our descent to 3,000 feet. I think it's a good time now to begin our descent. So let's go ahead and configure our. Oops. Okay. So that's the correct altitude. And as you can imagine, with the FlyJSim, the 737, there are no. Again, there is no auto throttle, so what you need to do to begin your descent is to switch to IAS, and then you will see that the plane will start now pitching, and we will begin our descent. Okay, let's check our landing information. So VREF is 2126, so our landing speed would be 131 knots, and we're going to be doing flaps 30 today. That's good. Okay, we need to switch now to the Los Angeles VOR, so let's do that. We need to reduce speed. To 180 knots. Alright, so let's go ahead and configure the ILS frequency here on the standby frequency. It is 111.1. Power to increase vertical speed. Okay, so basically what I've done here is I've switched the frequency now to the ILS frequency, which is 111.1, and now we are basically descending to a flight level 300, so that we can intercept the localizer and land. Everything looks good. I'm going to introduce I believe that's the airport. So I'm going to introduce flaps 5. And we will reduce speed to 180. I believe that's the runway. Right ahead. So let's do flaps 10, gear down. Need to watch the speed. flaps 15. Yep, that's the runway. Intercepted the localizer now. Flaps 25. Okay, flight slope is active now. This takes a while. So it activated approximately 8 nautical miles from the runway. So I guess that's fine. Okay, let's arm the speed brake. Speed brake armed. Okay, we need to be at approximately 141 knots. Descent rate, everything looks good. 4 nautical miles away, almost there, guys. And it's been quite a journey, and it's been quite a learning experience for me. As a matter of fact, playing around with this FlyJSim and using the autopilot as I normally hand fly this plane. So this has been quite an experience for me as well. It's been a lot of fun. Really flying it using instruments, really automated controls. It's been quite nice. Okay, we're almost there. X-plane looks just really amazing at night. Very nice. Very, very nice. Okay, and let's do flaps 30. remain idle. Oh, that was a very very hard landing. It looks like we've scared the passenger there. Normally, of course, right 500 feet before you land, you normally should disable the autopilot and fly the plane and flare right before you land. In this case, I really wanted to see what it would do. So, so that was a pretty hard landing. Nevertheless, I hope that you've enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed making it for you. It's been real fun doing this video, and I hope that you find this video useful. So there you have it, guys. The basics of VOR navigation, and we've basically we've landed safely into LAX. It wasn't a very safe landing, I must say, but there you have it. I hope that you've enjoyed the videos as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other. Bye-bye for now.